Welcome back Down the Frame. We blew up the engine.
We did. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, will the engine series ever end? Who knows? But today. We forgot we need to check one crucial thing. Before we put the pistons in, we're supposed to check the piston gaps. We didn't do that.
Nope.
So we got to take a piston out and gap it, make sure that's good. And then once that's in, we got to torque down the bolts. And then it's just putting everything back together at that point with the the carbs and the oil pan, the pumps and all that stuff. We want this boat in the water this season.
I mean, we can just bring it to a water.
That's what I'm thinking.
And just, without the engine in it, just drop her in.
Well, no. I do need to get a rear plug
Yeah.
or we will sink the boat. Let's get down the frame.
So some of you might be wondering, what is ring gap? Why does it matter? I'll explain. Here we have our piston. And we have these captive rings here that create the compression. So the top ones are for compression. So it basically keeps the pressure inside the piston, between the top of the piston and the piston walls. So this little guy right here, you see that gap right there? So as the engine gets hot or cold, this spring goes back to its normal shape. So the danger of the gap and not having enough gap is that if the engine gets too hot or you run boost in like a nitrous type environment, these will expand, and what can happen is they fold over themselves in this gap right here, and they can fold out and flick out, and then, that's your engine. So what we're looking at here, folks, is the ring inside the piston wall. So you can see that tiny, tiny little gap right there on that ray of light. What we need to make sure is that that gap meets the spec that we have. Calculators out.
89.37 times 0.004.
So 4 thou.
Is that in millimeters?
No, we just need a 3 mil gap then.
Well, that measurement's in inches.
Oh, that thou thing?
Yeah, that thou is in inches. 3.518.
1 thou.
What does 1 thou look like?
So we're doing some math here. So
like
I guess.
That?
Yeah.
I mean, that's gotta be close, right? It'd be hard pressed to say that's not pretty much on the money. It looks like it's right on the money.
It looks like it's right on.
Make sure the bottom ring's good, and at that point, aside from pulling every single piston again, which we could do if we want to switch the rods around, but aside from that, then we're putting this bone back in and we're shipping it.
So the tool that you generally use for this is a thickness gauge. It's basically like a piece of metal that's the thickness of the measurement that you want. But in lieu of that, we're just using a pair of calipers to measure the gaps. Once we did some maths,
we're like pretty much on the money.
Yeah, we're within like a blonde one.
So I think we're good. I think we're gonna ship it. Should we just take them all out? Just to go 1, 2, 3, 4?
It takes like 2 seconds. Just gotta take those.
I think it's one of those things where if like something goes wrong, it's like, oh, what if it was the,
Yeah, it's fine. When we originally, last episode, put all the pistons into the engine, we didn't realize that the rods were actually numbered. Right here, there's a number that corresponds to the cylinder that it's supposed to go into, and we didn't do that. Because we took one out already, we're just gonna take the other 3 out, put them in the right, match the pistons to the right cylinders. Granted, with everything that we changed, it probably isn't that big a deal, but just for peace of mind, we're gonna go ahead and do that.
Hey, these come out a lot easier than the corroded ones.
Imagine that, dude. This is 4.
This is 4.
So we got all the pistons back out. We're going to match them with the correct.
Should we measure the rings while they're out now too, huh?
No, I think the rings are all the same.
I think the rings are all the same.
Yeah, and we know the bores are all the same because we just sized them. So now we have the engine back in the position to receive those guys, and we'll get that started. We are now going to reverse berth.
Number 1. This thing is scary when it's oiled up.
You don't think you can control her?
When she just feels like she's gonna cut you. Oh, I hate how much that smells like trans fluid. It's giving me flashbacks. Let's try to get her in.
Yep. Ooh. Nice, good shot. She's in, folks. She's in like sin. Bottom her out.
See, what we're doing is really wearing out the cylinder walls.
It's all about pre-wear. You want to make sure she's good and worn before you start her up.
Don't laugh. Gotta make her dirty to get her in. How's Jay feel when he actually has to work?
We had to run and get the torque wrenches which were left at my house.
Bear beats Battlestar.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
Whatever.
Hey guys, so
We're back. We found out all the torque specs.
With thread locker.
Yeah, a little bit of blue. I mean, is it necessary on this? Probably not, but I also don't think it's going to hurt, so.
Yeah, I don't think it was on there from factory, but...
Dabble doer. Why is it chunky, dude?
That's not ideal.
Red Loctite is your friend. You know, a little flashback from the old Subi days. You guys remember? No, you don't. We didn't film it. Somebody somewhere is saying, what the hell are you doing with that Loctite, bud? Double the speed, baby. All right. 99, 150 foot-pounds of torque. So main cap bolts 90 lightly oiled. This is 19.
So this isn't the most ideal, guys, but we're having to use an adapter to go from 3/8 drive, which is what both of my torque wrenches are. 3/8 drive, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference. I hear some rumblings over here. What's going on? Having trouble, bud.
Yeah, I should have done, you know, the lock thing.
Paint pen acquired.
I was just making sure that it got seated. I think it's nice. It's got a nice click to it.
I'm gonna hit her with a big ol' 7.0. Can you read that?
How's it feel?
Good.
Does it feel good? It's kind of irritating because we actually looked through the manual and the manual doesn't say any torque spec for the crank, or at least not that we saw. So we found it for the head, but not the crank. Does the extension, do you have to compensate with
That's what I was just thinking. Because there's got to be some flex in the extension. I think you tend to not want to use an extension. Spinner or no?
Oh, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
How the actual F do we do that? Isn't that assembly supposed to rotate? I just don't know if it's...
So the issue we're facing right now is that we can't turn the engine over. But we're not sure if she's clamp shut or if we just put it in. We have everything in it, like either top dead center, which is like the piston all the way at the end of its travel, or top bottom, or bottom of the stroke. So might just need a little bit of help overcoming the friction that's associated with this whole thing spinning.
Well, maybe it really is just like that difficult. Like a starter really rips at that thing, right?
I'm pretty sure it does. Well, the starter's also working against the flywheel, not against the crank. You know what I mean? So there's leverage there.
I thought there was a fat nut that went in there.
Pretty sure we laughed this last time you said fat nut too.
Ah!
You right?
Yeah. Hurt. She moved. Did it move the pistons?
Yeah.
Hurt.
What'd you hit it on?
Oh, I crushed it between the breaker bar and this.
That's a big ouchie, dude.
Alright, cool. 80.
It's night ops, folks. Let's get it.
Ah, okay. You gotta start it with an A, right? Alright, so guys, I don't know how far we're gonna be able to get tonight, but we got a decent amount that we could do.
We don't have that cam plug, right? Are we gonna reuse the other one?
So Jay, I think we have had the cam plug all along.
Mother.
I think that it actually came with the kit originally.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get
It's
it.
a 42 millimeter, and I have a 42 millimeter in my.
Oh, is that the extra one that we had? Oh.
You live and you continually mess up things that you shouldn't because they're right in front of you. But shout out to Doug for covering up the old girl while we were away. Put a little trash bag on it, you know. So we're gonna put in the cam, lifters, head,
So is that cam?
oil pan, and pump. This should be our cam plug. Guess we should slide that thing over so you guys can see what we're talking about. 42 millimeter. Focus. There we go. And that old girl should just slide right in there. Oh, it looks good. So for this one, you have to be very, not liberal with the sealant, because at least on the inside, because you don't want this pushing sealant as we hammer it in. We don't want it pushing sealant into the cam channel where the cam spins. Like, should we put the cam in first just to test fit?
Yeah, we can do that.
Probably hard to tell the difference, but can you guys see that the different sizes of the lobes? Not the lobes, but these points where the bearings sit. Small, medium, large.
So it's directional.
It is. It goes in this way. So I guess I'm just going to put a little assembly lube on it and slide her in. As you can tell, I'm not hitting the sidewalls at all. Seems like a tight fit. I don't know, dude. That's really tight.
Grab an angle grinder and just turn her down.
It is what it is.
That's why a machinist measure.
Glad I got all lubed up for no reason.
Just won't have to do it later. I took pre-workout for nothing. Why is life so hard? Why can't things just fit when they're supposed to fit?
Guys, I'm fed up. I'm just fed up. This thing's been giving us a hard time. Growing pains. Let's remain positive here. We're learning new things. We're learning why people that make engines, or rebuild engines more specifically, measure everything. Because you just don't know what you're getting from an aftermarket factory. It might be less of an issue when you get into newer engines with far more mass-produced parts, even, you know, if you're working on LS's American parts.
Maybe that's our alternative, just LS swap.
Honestly, at this point, we could redo the whole back of the boat, fix the transom, bolt in our own outdrive and engine, and we're good, you know? We'll end up with a 4-cylinder EcoBoost engine hooked up to some weird thing, you know? This stage is millimetering by. We're gonna have to call the shop that we had the block cleaned and have our boy Len take a look. So we're gonna call him up and ask what the best option is. We have two options that's in our head: either take material off of the cam to get it to fit, or take material off of the bearings to get it to fit. Thank you guys for watching this exhilarating video, and we'll see you guys next week on Down on the Frame.